Hi, everybody. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. Today, we have a very interesting show for you, but boy, isn't it going to be touching on one of the most anxiety provoking issues of our time, which is holiday season, and especially if you happen to be one of those people who is struggling with mental health issues or who's struggling with issues to do with finances, relationships, maybe sadness, maybe grief. This is your show today. Today, we're going to be discussing the seasonal affective disorder called Christmas affective disorder. And just on time, we have my colleague waiting in the background, and she is going to be discussing the mental health challenges that we experience. So, why don't I call Susan on board? Karibu, Susan. One of the most, hi, Susan, today we're discussing
Good
mental health.
evening. Hello, everybody.
Today we're
Hi,
discussing
how are
mental health
you?
issues, guys. Sorry, one of the mental health issues right now is starting a show at almost midnight and expecting you people to be there. So, I mean, it's crazy, but we hope that you are there. We hope that you're going to be listening either live or maybe you're going to tune in tomorrow after the show, which I've seen. By the way, thank you very much for supporting our last show, which was very interesting, which was about relationships and divorce and separation. And today we have another topic, which is about how to manage our anxiety during the Christmas holiday season. I know that this is kind of a topic that is kind of used a lot. It's talked about a lot. A lot of people talk about it. Like, for example, in Africa, it's not so common to have, let's just say in Africa, within this region of Africa at the equator here in Kenya, our days are not so different from other days. It's, for example, our weather patterns don't change as drastically, for example, as in the northern hemisphere or other places. So we know right now winter in Africa, like here in Kenya, is hot. This is one of the hottest months of the year. It's one of the driest. It's also one of the most expensive because children are at home. They are demanding a lot of time and resources. Today I went out with my mom and I took her out for a cup of tea just by a swimming pool, and I saw so many children in the pool. I was like, oh my God, those parents have so much money to pay. I was thinking about the children who close school in November. They'll be at home November, December. Those are resources, which are right now, resources are scarce in many households in December, but the demands are so high. That can cause a lot of anxiety, can provoke a lot of stress in the household. And again, also, we know that this is also a season where we tend to remember our loved ones. Like for me, I lost my loved one this year. This is going to be my first season without my dad, my dear, wonderful dad. And I can't even imagine. I mean, it's so, I don't even know what to say. But at the same time, you see, you have to accept it because if you don't accept it, on the other hand, it will just drive you crazy, literally, isn't it? Yeah. So we're missing our loved ones, and we're also facing financial stresses. We are facing political uncertainty. Right now, we have so-called UFOs out in the sky. I don't know whether they are UFOs or some people are calling them black angels. Why is it that angels, which are black, are supposed to be ugly? I mean, dangerous. Some people are calling them just, what are they calling them? Sub robot, something in the sky. Other people are saying that, people are making, that they're not real. Other people are saying this is the end of the world. So, I mean, we are faced with so many stresses during the holiday season. So it's not surprising that our mental health and our anxiety levels would be really high. So before I say much more, let me first of all introduce Susan and welcome her to the show. Susan, karibu. Salimia watu wetu.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. Or is it good morning? It's almost good morning here in
Yeah, it's
Nairobi.
literally good morning in Kenya, isn't it?
Yeah.
Susan, please don't try and spoil our CV. Now that is adding mental stress to me here. It is exactly 10 to midnight, okay? Cinderella still hasn't put on her shoes.
I tell you for sure. And Cinderella not putting on her shoes or trying to meet the deadline before she turns into Cinderella, not the beautiful princess. Is definitely one
Uh-huh.
of the stresses. And definitely during
Exactly.
this holiday season, we have so many things to think about. I mean, just even reflecting, if we were to ask a few of you to write the things that you find most stressful during the holiday season, just to share some 10, and Queen Mo has talked about them. One of them is spending too much money or having not enough money to spend for gifts and other things. Um, Finding the right gifts is also a stressor. uh, Missing family and loved ones, as Queen Mo has said, this is a time when we remember those dear ones that who are not celebrating this season with us, whether it's Thanksgiving, whether it's Christmas, or just the holidays or whatever it is. And you just remember them. Even a pet can cause you grief if you remember that they're not there to enjoy that time with you. And then also having too much to do because you have deadlines. Most families have so many activities lined up as a matter of tradition or whatever, and it's really stressful on, maybe more so I think, on the women and girls than men, because there's so many things to do. There are the traditional dishes to cook, which take hours and hours of preparation, and even searching for the right vegetables and stuff. Searching for the Christmas tree, I think, can be very, very stressful. That's if you're into that. Decorating the house, decorating that can be very, very stressful. Getting the right ornaments, adding new ornaments, because some families have traditions of adding new ornaments every year, and stuff like that can be really stressful. And these ornaments, of course, are very meaningful to the people who are putting them up. Um, the other one is pressure to make the holiday special. You might have a new member of the family. Maybe one of your family members has got married, and there's a new member of the family, and stuff like that. So you need to really make it. There's pressure to make it a special event, holiday. Food and alcohol related issues. You could have people suffering from addiction one way or the other, and this is not the. This is a season where there's a lot of, if it's food or if it's alcohol in plenty, and perhaps you're supposed to keep away from them. So the decision of how you deal with that family situation, perhaps you don't really want to talk about your condition. And addictions are sort of like, even alcoholics, the support groups are anonymous, so it's really something you really don't want to talk about mostly. And so when all this alcohol is just there and you have a problem with it, then there's a challenge there that can cause a lot of stress. Another one is not being able to spend time with family or loved ones. Sometimes the separation, maybe because of work. You have people in armies or working in other parts of the country or the world, and your family is in a different part and you're not able to be with them. So the best you can do is really just do what we're doing now, just have like a virtual meeting or a virtual chat. Perhaps sometimes that's not enough. And then the other one is experiencing family conflict. Definitely, we know sometimes when we gather together, uh, this is the holiday season is a very unusual time, even for, when you think about it, we have relatives who work in other parts of the world, but somehow, because during the holiday season, they know the rest of their relatives are free, everybody gravitates towards their home. But the environment is not necessarily the most conflict free, and it is caused by a number of factors. There could be some relatives you don't get on very well with, though you get on very well with others. There could be that narcissistic individual who ends up ruining every single Christmas. We've seen movies about these nightmarish characters who just make it so hard, for everybody. And they just make it so difficult. So you don't look forward to it, and then perhaps you disagreed with a sibling or two in the past year, and it's very difficult for you to deal with, and other things like that can cause conflict, between families. In families, it could even be property over property, or family business. You're not agreeing on certain things. that are causing a lot of tension. So there's division in the family, and yet the family tradition requires that you must all gather.
Mm-hmm.
So that can cause a lot of stress. Another thing is feeling excluded or left out, feeling lonely, maybe because you don't the way that you view things, or the way you respond to issues, is not like the rest of your family. So
Mm-hmm.
whereas you may be feeling very deep grief because of the loss of a loved one, so there's deep feelings of loneliness and exclusion because everybody's merrymaking perhaps, and your heart is not really there. And so I think in this, and then the other one is traveling. Oh, in
Mm-hmm.
Kenya, the cost of traveling to go to your rural home is just a nightmare. Those costs can go double. I know
Mm-hmm.
those of you who are watching from Kenya and perhaps other parts of the world, you may experience the same thing where the cost of traveling to your hometowns to be with your family, they just escalated. And there's all
Mm-hmm.
this drama. I mean, we have a lot of drama. It can go 2 or 3 times higher than usual, and yet because it's the
Mm-hmm.
family tradition that everybody must gather in a certain place, people try to make it there. Yeah, of course, the other thing when you're talking about traveling is not just the cost; it's the horror of the traffic jams. Here in Kenya, we've experienced,
Yes.
journeys taking
Traffic
twice.
jams and also the risk of even travel. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So these are some of the 10 most common cases of stress. This was taken from the American Psychological Association, but I've sort of tailor-made them to suit our Kenyan
Yes.
context. And I'm sure
Sure.
for the listeners, you can also pick and choose from those that you know from your country or your personal experience stress you the most. But basically, they said 9 out of 10 people said they experience a lot of stress during the holiday season. I'm appreciating, of course, that not everybody would, it's a Christian holiday. It's also the holiday season. Just in America, just before this holiday season, there's Thanksgiving, which is also part of the season, isn't it? It's like you're
Mm-hmm.
going into the season. And there are other holidays as well. We're talking about also other holidays for other religious people. The Jews have theirs and other groups. And around that time there's a lot of stress, I think, because of what it entails and the gathering of people and the change of behavior generally, because the support systems where you are in a different space are a bit different and they change. So
Mm-hmm.
those are some of the 10 stresses, and this was an APA 2023 holiday stress survey that was done. And as Queen Mo
Mm-hmm.
said, this is really quite a stressful situation. I think as we
Mm-hmm.
continue, we're going to look at some of the things that we some recommendations or some ideas on how to handle it, because we would really like everybody to have the best holiday possible that they could have, and just manage those difficult spaces in a way that make them enjoy the season better. It's actually supposed to be a restful season, but
Mm-hmm.
we know that although it's the season to be jolly, um, tis a season to be jolly. La 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 la. Sometimes it's
Susan, you
not
know now,
jolly.
everybody's gonna know that Susan is a choir master because she is. And it's amazing that you're actually singing. Sing the song, Susan, because let me tell you, I was coming up with my own song over here. And I was like, okay, tis the season to be jolly. Yeah, right, Since when are we going to be jolly with all that's going on in the world right now? It just doesn't make any sense, does it? So I mean, I came up with Winter Wonderland. Yeah, this song
Oh
it goes. Remember, sleigh bells ring. Are you listening? In the lane, snow is glistening. A beautiful sight. We're happy tonight, walking in the Winter Wonderland. Gone away is the bluebird. Here to stay is a new bird. He sings a love song as we go along, walking in a winter wonderland. Well, right here in Africa, it is not winter, number one. It is huge summer. We are walking in drought and many people are actually separating at this time of the year. Many relationships are not working. Yeah. And this is the time that many people are considering the future. So it's so idealistic what we've been sold. We've been singing all these fabulous songs, and let me tell you the truth, Christmas is one of my favorite times of the year. Let's just say any holiday is one of my favorite times of the year. But the fact is that it also makes you reflect on the realities of life. What is the reality of life? The reality of life is little money in the pocket, worries about January, paying rent, paying school fees, yeah, having enough to eat, having enough to put petrol in your car, worrying about the future, about whether you're going to have a job. Your job, is it secure? Yeah, do you have enough money to take you through the next 3, 4 months? You know, January in Kenya, we call January in January. You know, Ja means hunger. Hunger, hungernuary, you know, we're starving in January. January
It's
is
the
one of the
longest
longest
month of
months.
the year.
It is the
It's
longest month
the
of the year.
longest month of the year.
Exactly. So, Susan, as you're talking about looking for presents, wondering who is going to get a present, who is not going to get a present, because we can't get presents to everybody. Yeah. Remember the fact that we used to buy cards, Christmas cards. Who does that now? Nowadays, you're like sending WhatsApp cards, and even those WhatsApp cards, you're hoping that you're going to be one of the ones that's going to receive a card. Because if you don't, that affects your ego big time. You know. How many Christmas cards do you get? What is the variety on your phone on WhatsApp? Yeah. So there is a lot of competition. This is the time when a lot of people also compare each other, compare families. You start to see the family that has compared to the family that hasn't. And more in our societies, actually, it seems like the middle class is shrinking. And we now have either a group who are up here and the other ones who are right at the bottom. And it makes it such a complicated time to try to invite family members, to get them close. All of a sudden, people are feeling a bit shy about inviting people to their house when they realize that actually my house isn't as nice as it used to be. Maybe it doesn't have, or maybe I moved to a smaller place, I moved to a cheaper place. By the way, a lot of people have actually moved from the high income neighborhoods, you know, expensive neighborhoods into less expensive neighborhoods. I wonder whether they will be feeling comfortable about inviting their friends who knew them when they were up there, yeah, when they're now further down the ladder because of the cost of living. The cost of living is high. Again, a lot of people don't want to entertain because they can't afford to buy as much as they would like to entertain, because we kind of all get used to a certain standard of living, and once you're there, to come down is very hard, you know. But on the other hand, we also see a lot of people who are splurging money at this time. People are splurging, people are, you know, using money. I was just out today, and I think even Susan was out tonight. Okay, we're all going out, and when you go out there, you see a lot of things. What did you see, Susan, when you went out tonight? Did you notice
Oh,
anything?
oh, for me, actually, for me, it was I went to visit my son and his wife. They just got married this year, so it's the first we were invited.
Congratulations to you. That's fabulous. People are
Yeah,
getting
so we
married
had
still, eh? That's good.
yeah, we had a wonderful. This was their first Christmas together, so we had
Yeah.
a wonderful time. We had dinner, so it was just us, and we really enjoyed one another's company, just talking. Of course, we took lovely photographs. But the drive back, there were hardly any roads, any cars on the road, so it was sort of quiet. Um, but definitely, like you said, there's a lot of stress. We've been seeing it in Kenya in particular. Despite our inflation rate is sort of showing that our economy is lazy, and it means that we do not have much disposable income generally. As Queen Mo says, there are some people who do have quite a lot, and they are splurging. But for most families, it's going to be quite a different Christmas from usual. They will gather together, but some tips that we can give now, just going scanning the internet and scan to see what tips are there. So the Mental Health Association of East Tennessee talks about healthy holiday habits, and one is make space for feelings like grief. As Queen Mo said, that's the reality. We sit and think of those. Maybe somebody would be sitting in a certain chair, the person carving the turkey, or in Kenya we'd say cutting cutting up the goat's meat or whatever it is, cutting the meat. Here, in terms of who cuts the meat, is usually the one of the males who does it, if there's one present. And if that male is no longer there, then of course you remember some of these things. And so make space for feelings like grief. And also learn to say no without feeling guilty. And this is really about setting boundaries. Create your own holiday traditions. And this is where the issue of changing economic situations and trying to stretch the money further really matters. So you create your own family traditions. The ones that are too expensive to continue, you allow them to sort of um, to develop or to
Yeah,
change the
yeah.
dynamics,
Easily way, or even yeah, it's true. You can change them. You know what? To metamorphosize,
yeah, to
change. Yeah,
as dynamic. It should be dynamic. The
yeah.
important thing is
Like
for the
if you're used
family.
to serving turkey and turkey is too expensive, get
Yeah,
something else. Yeah, get
yeah,
chicken. It's okay.
yeah,
Make it a different way.
yeah. And
Yeah.
then the other one is set realistic expectations for yourself and family. So really, if you have tensions in in the family and stuff like that, instead of making it a long, like, whole 7 days, you can sort of be there for 3 days, the crucial days, and then do something else with the other people, or just adjust the situation. Because and then the other one is maintain your self-care routine or start a new one. And the other one is keep stress levels in check. It's okay to delegate or to step back. The tendency is that we get really worked up about the shopping, get really worked up about not having enough chickens in or whatever it is you're going to cook, not getting the right quality of the thing, not getting this, and one of your aunts can only eat this and that, and you can't find it anywhere, or it's so expensive, or whatever the reason, so the stress levels, delegate, send your other, divide the work among yourselves, and just find different ways to deal with it. The other one is to make a plan and try to adhere to it. That is, be intentional about what's important. And then you give yourself permission to let it be a normal day. In other words, if for
That
whatever reason,
that has to be the hardest one.
yes, so that
How
is
can
one
it
of
be
the,
a normal day when you have a Christmas tree over there that's flickering up and down, and you have all these expectations of gravy and soup, and there's nothing like that. You think you're gonna have cabbages. No, 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 But you're right though. It should be. I don't know. Does it really? I don't really agree with that. I think it should be still a special day, but
yeah,
maybe make it special but affordable.
yeah.
Affordable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Instead of
I tell you
buying a
what, I
Christmas
tell you the
card.
reason why I refuse to make it a normal day, because for some
Yeah,
people who don't like celebrating holidays, they'll be more than happy, yeah, to say, what's today? Especially guys, especially husbands, and men. A lot of them, will check out. They'll be like, what's the difference between today? Every day is Christmas Day. What do you mean?
yeah,
No.
yeah.
I refuse to. I think that one was written by a man, that part, that particular point.
I think what they were
Unless I
saying
don't
is that,
understand it.
yeah,
The rest
I
of them,
think,
I agree with them. Yes,
yeah,
create your own what? Create your own day, your own special holiday, your own kind of holiday. It's true, you can adapt. We can adapt the holiday. Another thing maybe we can do as Africans or as people from, the diaspora, is to try to come together and share, like Susan said, share the responsibility, delegate. So for example, and we do that a lot in Africa. Like we can tell someone, you bring this and I bring this, and you bring drinks and I'll bring, so you kind of delegate out and share out the cost, the responsibility.
yeah,
And even when it comes to venue, a lot of people look for neutral venues. Like in the abroad, if you don't want to do dishes and cook, you can look for a neutral venue and have a day where all your friends and everybody come together in that particular place, and have other people do the outside catering for you. you know That's another way to lift the burden of, Christmas Day. And if it's too
Yeah.
expensive to do that, you can go off on a picnic or go for a ride, go for a drive, take a matatu, go somewhere, with your family, take your car, go for a long drive somewhere, and maybe have a picnic, or do something special for people. That's another thing that I find that is really nice. If one can spend time with maybe orphaned kids or the elderly, doing things for other people on the day, on Christmas Day, that's also something. Other people just go to church. They spend time in church, which is really good. You want to go to church, you can do that, spend time there. And other times, maybe because you never really have time with your family, that just might be your time just to spend time with just your family.
Mm-hmm.
There are many busy parents out there. And, if you don't have time to go out socializing with people, you can just be with your own family. And
Yeah.
if you're lonely, if you're really lonely, many people are on their phones, TikTok, YouTube. It's okay, but make
Yeah.
it a special day for yourself. Maybe on that particular day, yeah, if you want to be totally alone and you don't want to interact with anyone, or you can't interact with anyone for whatever reason, get online and have a virtual holiday. Now it's possible. It's quite possible
Yeah.
to have a virtual holiday. Yeah, get online, join one of the groups, chat, complain, talk about things.
Yeah.
Just, try and find a way to congregate with other people. But like I
Yeah.
was saying, what is
Yeah.
going to be the hardest
True.
is anything to
Mm-hmm.
do with grief of a loved one, especially the
Agree.
first year around or the first couple of years. That's going to
Yeah.
be a nightmare. So, like Susan said, prepare for it, prepare for that pain that you're going to experience, and find a way to mitigate it. Maybe by looking at pictures, go through albums, go through albums, pictures, maybe memories, write something down, do whatever it is. Maybe meet up with people who are related to them, meet up with them. There's been a lot of difficulty, especially since 2020. We've lost a lot of people in the whole wide world, by the way. So there's a lot of people who are grieving. You're either grieving the loss of your job, like Susan said, the loss of your pet, or the loss of a loved one in the family. But or you've lost maybe, let's say, hope. You feel hopeless. Yeah,
Yeah.
So this is the time now to challenge your mental health issues, and bring them, and look at them. There's a friend of mine who's telling me, more, hold your issues, take the bull by the horns, look at your problem and face it and talk to it and say, you know what, problem, you know I know you're there, and we are going to have to learn to coexist. We're just going to have to learn to coexist, because I can't get rid of you. You cannot get rid of grief. You cannot get rid of the fact that you lost your job. You cannot get rid of the fact that you don't have money. But you can decide to face your problem square in the face and say, okay, this is my circumstance, but it doesn't actually make up my situation.
Yeah.
It's a circumstance. It's a circumstance, but it doesn't dictate how you are going to feel on that day, on either
Yeah.
Christmas Day, New Year's Day, or just that whole period. And if you're
That
not able to buy
season.
presents, you can make things. You can make things. You can
Yeah.
decide to cook. You can talk to your children and explain to them, or just try to recycle what you have at home. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
somebody Lynn has a comment on here. Lynn
Yeah.
Robertson. Hi, Lynn. Welcome to the show. It's a little bit late for us here in Kenya, but anyway, I
Yeah.
don't know where you're watching us from, but thank you for your long comment here. Let's read it. A lot of us here in America, that's where she is, okay, are in the same situation. The economy here is doing fairly well now, but we're concerned that the economy will crash after Donald Trump gets into office. You're giving very good advice about dealing with the holidays. You give very good information on your show. I really appreciate both of you. Wow, Lynn, what a lovely compliment. We really
Thank you.
appreciate you, because we wouldn't be here if it wasn't you, encouraging us and also watching us and looking for us and searching everywhere. We really appreciate you, Lynn, and thank you so much for your comment. That's exactly the same situation we are in here in Kenya as well. The political uncertainty in our countries, whether it's the US, in Kenya, in other places, makes it difficult for people to actually feel comfortable spending money. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to hoard money. And what that does is that then it takes it out of circulation. And therefore, those people who, let's
Yeah.
say, are at the bottom of the ladder, who are relying on the middle class to buy from them, they will suffer, and they will have products, and let's say they'll buy, if it's groceries or vegetables or food, or Christmas gifts and things like that, they'll be left with them. They'll be left holding the bag in January, and this will be dead stock, or they will lose, and in the end they'll also lose in their businesses.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Just to add some practical tips also
mhm.
that I came across in the internet, and this was mental wellness during the holiday season, and this is a lifeline support toolkit, and they give a number of practical tips, and loneliness is one of the stress, the things that people experience during the holidays, and they give some advice. One is to connect with friends and family. Use available methods. For instance, as Queen Mo was saying, we can use virtual or physical meetings. That's like if you're in different places and you're not able to travel, you can do a lot of the Zoom calls and the other call, FaceTime and other types of calls. Just keep in touch with people, use phone calls, and just keep in touch with one another, so that you can share your feelings with somebody else, and which can lead you to a positive sense of connection. And connection, I think, especially during those times when you're not doing what you normally do. I mean, some people I know are working. The holiday season is always the busiest time for them, but but mostly for most people, it's a time when you take a break, and your institutions allow you to take this break, and they provide for you to take this break. So you're dealing in a different sort of environment. So it's important for you to to nurture a positive sense of connection if you are experiencing loneliness. The other one is, as Queen Mo said, is to volunteer. You get involved in charitable events, go to the soup kitchens or whatever, and just help out and do keep yourself busy. Have a program where you keep yourself busy helping other people, and as you're focusing on other people, your issues become, you're able to cope better with whatever it is, when you see that the others who are perhaps experiencing the same things that you're experiencing. As you go to those, as you volunteer, you meet other people as well who are also
Yeah.
volunteering. Another one is
Susan,
join a
let me read Louis' comment if you don't mind. Louis, come on here. Hi, Louis. Welcome to the show. You're
yeah.
saying that currently at my job, our client terminated a 2-year contract with us. So we are going to be let go by the end of December 30th. So, and he continues to say, I do not feel stress. I do not feel anything. I think what Louis is describing here is numbness. He's feeling numb. He doesn't even know how to feel. Am I correct, Louis? Huh? He doesn't know how to feel. Can you imagine? I've experienced that, Louis, because I worked as a contractor, as a consultant for a long time. Okay, we worked together. So I know what that means, that insecurity, that feeling of helplessness when a client doesn't come through, doesn't continue, doesn't when they don't stick to their word, when they are unreliable, when they drop you like a hot cake at the last minute and at the wrong time at the end of a year. All I can say is anybody who is going through job loss at this time, I want you to know there's my boss who said once, a long time ago, he said, never worry because tomorrow is another day. Yeah? Tomorrow is a day. They dropped a contract. They didn't drop your brain. They didn't drop your star. They didn't drop your what? They didn't drop your vision. Yeah? You still hold on to those. Those are yours, and nobody can take that away from you. And in our African tradition, we say, my grandmother used to say in my language, "Kirege gyaku ne gyaku." Now, and so what that means is yours, and nobody can take it from you. And so there's some things that we need to do during the holiday season, which is to encourage one another, to be empathetic and understand that this is the way the world is going. And there are a lot of people who are losing their jobs. In Kenya, we have a lot of companies who have left the Securities Exchange. 8,000 companies and plus. Right now, we are going through what we say. We have been told that our electricity bills are going to go up. And already, before they even telling us the story, the electricity bill has literally shot to double. Our electricity bill has shot to double already. Meanwhile, they, hoodwink you by reducing by a few shillings, a few coins, the petrol at the pump. So they bring down the cost of petrol while it's a carrot and a stick. Unfortunately, in our world, we have some people who are ruling us. Call it ruling us, not leading us, ruling us with a very evil spirit. But I really do believe that, in the end, what is yours, and nobody can take that from you. So if one of your clients has terminated a 2-year contract, I believe that you will get another contract. And yes, it's normal, Louis, to feel unmotivated. He says he doesn't feel numb, he feels unmotivated. Yeah, it's totally demoralizing, totally demotivating. And one of the ways that I dealt with that, because, for example, I've also experienced that a lot, is to take a break. Just take time off. Just take time off for reflection. Take time off for reflection. Just take time off, not even for thinking. I think even Louis, not thinking, not feeling is a good idea, you know, because like they say that, for the people, I read somewhere that groaning is actually the body's way of dealing with pain. When you see people groaning in hospital, like, in the bed, it's the body's way of actually minimizing pain. So maybe this is your time to grow. This is your time to grow in your own way. Yeah, to grow in your own way. And then in the end, you minimize your pain. And after that, you can actually think about it. I am not a mediator, I'm not a counselor, but I feel, Louis, because I was a contractor at one point. So I understand that feeling of losing a contract. It's devastating,
Yeah,
demoralizing, and demotivating, and you feel like nothing. But I tell you, your success is going to come. It will come with it comes with challenges, and that's the only way you know that you're successful, through those. And then also understanding that you're not the only one. Look at Warren Buffett. Look at all these people. They all tell us about learning how to live with failure, learning to lose, because once you lose, you know what gaining means. Gaining means, or having profit, or getting a contract, has that much more meaning once you have lost one. So just take it as a lesson and take it as normal life, because that's just life. And sometimes we're dealt a hard blow and you're going to be let go. But I pray that you're going to find another job, Louis. And yeah, we're here with you. We're your sisters here in Africa, and we're here with you. Yeah, we're just here for
yeah.
you.
I just want
Okay.
to say
So,
something to
yeah,
Louis.
say
I want to say something to Louis. What I think is really important, and which is a good, is that you've acknowledged your feelings or no feelings, the numbness, the feeling, and not a numbness. You said you're feeling unmotivated, and I think that is a good step towards the healing process, because once you recognize what it is that you're dealing with, then you're able to take the next step. And as Queen Mo says, we're just there's a saying that says, at first you don't if at first you don't succeed, you try and try and try again. So we're just encouraging people on this show never to give up, just to keep trying. You can take that break, that holiday, to reflect and to plan. As we discussed earlier, one of the important things about managing stress is really to have a plan. And identifying what it is that you can do, what you can't do, and where your focus is going to be. This could be an opportunity for you to change direction altogether, or even come up with some innovation in this time of quiet and self-reflection. So wishing you all the best on that, and just be encouraged. If at first you don't succeed, you must try and try and try again. I think that's one of the proverbs we were taught in school. And others, of course, is that I think that is one of the things that you need to focus on. There are different things that, again, of course, if you find it's really challenging, you need to perhaps seek support of, if you find your mental health is suffering as a result of that, really get expert help and support, uh, and also be able to speak to somebody who you trust and share your thoughts and feelings. And just some conversations with people can really point you in the right direction, every time. um, Yeah, so some of the ideas for dealing with financial stress actually now is perhaps for you to realize that there's a gap between your current job and your next job. So for the holiday season, if I can draw some parallels on how they're suggesting how to deal with financial stress, is to set a budget. If you're buying gifts in the holiday season, for instance, you identify which gifts you're going to buy and allocate a certain amount and don't go over the budget. And when we're saying the first one, set a budget, it's because of all those other activities that come with the holiday season or whatever else you need to pay for. Like Queen Mo said, there's the house rent, there's the this and the that, all those liabilities. The other one is in the context of the holiday season is so that you don't have to buy so many presents. You do the secret Santa thing. So you buy a number of presents for the people, and somebody else will buy presents. So everybody at the end of the day will end up getting a present. And the other thing, of course, is to, when you're buying the gift, is to think about thoughtfulness over cost. So in other words, is the value of the gift, because a gift may be very expensive but not as valuable to somebody, but your thoughtfulness may be something you've crafted with your own hands, or something that you really know that person wants or has been looking for, and you're able to find it. That thoughtfulness is what counts more, I think. Personally, I've always valued those those thoughtful gifts where somebody has noticed that there's something that you need, and or something that you like, and that's something that would help you in your work or in your career, and they've gone and bought it for you. So let's concentrate on thoughtfulness this season over expense, especially now as we're all saying there's an anxiety about what's going to happen in January. And what's next, and then avoid impulsive buying, even if you love it, even if just avoid it. And the other one is, as we talked about earlier, is reevaluate your traditions, the things that you have seen are important during this Christmas season or during this holiday season, uh, and even in this time, like Louis says, where things are going to change next year. Just reevaluate and just prioritize and see what is important. So for instance, in the holiday season, simplicity and togetherness should be more important than extravagant spending. So you can still have lots of joy even without spending much. You can just cut your costs completely. There will definitely be a cost element, but you can cut your costs and manage your
Yeah,
expenses.
here is an example of that, Susan, just to put it in practicals. Like, for example, instead of purchasing new things, purchase a pre-loved. They call it pre-loved in the UK. Okay, pre-loved in Kenya, we call it used mitumba. You can buy mitumba. You can buy second hand. You can buy used items, or you can trade. You can barter. You can decide also not to buy anything, by the way. You can decide not to buy anything and just spend time. Time is the greatest gift of anyone. Spend time. Put that money into a meal. Put that money into making something like a meal, or sending across a chocolate bar to someone. Wrap it with a little something. You just like Susan is saying, simplify, 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 simplify. The trouble with this seasons is that they've been really commercialized. Christmas has been commercialized. We even forgot that it's supposed to be some sort of birthday of Jesus or something like that. Yeah. And it's become a commercial entity. And it's there to make some people rich if you look at it, like that. So we have to be careful not to become so consumerist that we forget the meaning of life, because there are many people holding expensive iPhones, expensive types of phones, yeah, but they're going to be all alone over Christmas, and they don't want to be alone, but they will be alone, but they're there with all the expensive goodies and stuff, and those things can never replace human interaction. It cannot and will not. So if there's something that you can do, you can volunteer, you can go to an animal shelter, you can decide to work in work for animals, you can decide
Yeah.
just to call somebody who you think needs somebody to talk to, go and visit a relative, take them. Like in Kenya, it's very easy to do that. You can look for an aunt who has not been seen for a long time, do a little tiny shop for food stuff and go take it to her, you know sit there and chat, have a cup of tea, have some food with her. That is a really nice way to spend the Christmas, your Christmas
Mm.
day. But for the rest of us, the majority of us, like for some of us, we have family who have come from America, they've come from the UK, they've come from other countries. We are hosting them at home. Now the question is, what do we give them? What as Africans? Because, for example, in Africa, we know that, of course, we don't. With our earning potential, our earning power hasn't is not as much as people who are living in the West. But on the other hand, we still have the same probably level of expenses. Things are expensive here. So what can you do? So I would say the most important thing is to give time. Give time. Don't ignore people who have traveled thousands of kilometers to come
Yeah.
home to seek your attention
Mm.
and love. Do not ignore them. Even if they're not your direct family members, yeah, let's remember to, include them. Try to be inclusive as
Yeah.
hard as it is. For the people who find it really difficult to get out of the shell, encourage them and start early. Tell them, by the way, I'm planning something for Christmas and I'll call you. Start planning, start getting rid of your anxiety now because I'm expecting you at my party. You can make it like a joke, you can tell people, you know what, I need you there, and I don't want you to bring anything except yourself, just come. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that opportunity, play some old music, do something fun, but another thing is listening to music is a good idea. So, but managing stress and anxiety, another thing is, of course, some people believe in, no, let me just say some people believe in, maybe people need therapy. It might be a good thing to give. It might actually know somebody who needs it, has confided in you that they need help. You can afford it, or you can pay someone to give them to give them therapy on that day or before then. Yeah. It's a good
Yeah.
gift you can give to someone, a therapy session or two for mental health, for their mental health. Yeah. So anyway,
Yeah.
Susan, we're
So
going to round. We're going to round up because we're a little bit late, and it's been
I
an
just
hour.
want to add something. You talked about
Oh yeah, sure.
loneliness. I just wanted to talk about the loneliness.
Oh, that's a
The
big
the
topic right there.
toolkit. Yeah, the toolkit, the Lifeline support toolkit suggests some things, like I said, connect, volunteer. The other thing that says join a social group, so that align with your interests. And of course, as we've been talking about in our programs, is avoid toxic platforms. But there are some really good platforms, social groups, and online platforms can really help you to grow and advance. And the way to a toxic platform would be one that is extremist, has extremist views, and is likely to end up you are likely to end up with mental health problems because of what it's advocating. So in these social groups, you're likely to meet people, make new friends with similar interests, and this will help to combat the loneliness. The other one is attend community events. Queen Mo talked about church and stuff like that. So there, I know in the West, in particular, and even here, and increasingly in Kenya, we have like markets, and there are also charitable events. We have lots of choirs and singing in churches, so you can do the rounds, going to all the, and it's easy to find out which church is having their concert or which are the group. Sometimes the singing, the caroling is actually in the malls and stuff like that. So you can attend those, and it's very uplifting. You're keeping yourself busy, and music actually is very therapeutic. If, that, as Queen Mo said, listen to music. It is actually a very therapeutic thing. We have groups actually who do um, what you call hospital visiting, and they're actually caroling. So they're going to different hospitals, and different churches are doing this, and this is in Kenya now, and so they go to different hospitals and they sing carols. So for instance, the church I attend this whole week, they're attending actually Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and tomorrow. There are different hospitals they've been going to and singing, and carols, and it's very uplifting. You can imagine somebody is just not able to move or whatever, and then they hear this music, and it uplifts them. The other one is, if you are able, is you can take the initiative and host a get together. Invite a few people to your home. The other one is online platforms. have this engagement. You to have the chatting, and of course, again, we'll tell you avoid the toxic spaces. The other one is hobby engagement, because like we're talking about cost. Some things that you really love doing, so you engage in enjoyable activities or even start them. So you can start cooking or hiking. There's beautiful places to hike. Um, Trying to draw or other activities that which are you can do using your hands and meet other people who have similar interests. So what you do, you keep busy with the things that you like doing. The other one is self love. So you need to look to love yourself and not be so hard on yourself, and love yourself, and then also show yourself kindness. And finally, of course, is if you need to, is to reach out for mental health support to a professional, and really share your thoughts and your idea, your what you're thinking about, so that you can combat loneliness. And it's interesting that in a season where there's supposed to be lots of joy, like we said,
Mhm.
'tis the season to be jolly, fa la 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 la. It's supposed to be.
Joy to the world. Do, 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 do.
Yeah, yeah, all those beautiful songs, but you can hear them sometimes and they don't lift your heart because of
You can
where
also
you
decide
are.
to switch your mind to tune. You can decide to tune your mind into joy, joyful mood. You can
Yeah,
actually turn it up. You switch your mind, because
so
actually,
you need.
it's also part of healing. It can bring you
Yeah,
healing. Yeah,
so
to
you
just
need.
decide.
Yeah, you need that support. hmm So I just wanted to talk
Like,
also. Yeah, you're saying what, Maureen? I
can
can't.
we
Yeah.
can we wrap up within the next 5 minutes, Susan? Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
just
thanks.
wanted to add a few things that I picked up. So I've told you about
Mm-hmm.
healthy holiday habits, and we've talked about practical tips for managing loneliness, and tips for managing financial stress. We've talked about that. Tips for managing relationships we haven't talked about, and this toolkit suggests that there are certain. It looks at a situation where you have difficult family and relationships. Um, so it suggests that this is where there's disappointment, that they haven't met your expectations, your family or your relationships. The tips are that family can be found in friends or community. So sometimes if it is really difficult to connect with your own family, or it's you find your family can be found in friends and community. It's not just about blood. You can actually find bonds which are very, very meaningful. Sometimes families can be extremely toxic. We have the narcissist who is making everybody's life just so terrible, and so it's not a space that you enjoy going to. And then the other one is to manage expectations. So you look at enjoyment in this season rather than perfection. So what you're looking at is those little things that matter. Whether it means going to hunt for the Christmas tree together, and that's an activity that gives you great joy to do. Just decorating a Christmas tree with handmade things you've made with your hands, um, or something simple, taking a long walk, running, doing a run, just challenging yourself one way or the other. Um, you know, Singing songs, going around the neighborhood, caroling, whatever it is. Just making yourself living a full, being fulfilled. So you manage your expectations well. So you don't just look at perfection, but you look at joy. And we are joyful not because everything is perfect, but because you can be joyful. And then the other one is, Queen Mo talked about this, about comparison. We need to avoid it because it's not a useful thing to do. Because it can lead you to feelings of inadequacy. You don't look at what the other neighbor is doing. I know we watch these. I don't know how many of you watch Hallmark, these romantic Christmas movies, and you see the neighbor has got all these flashy lights and everything, and then this other neighbor just has one deer on the lawn and no lights, and it's dark and stuff like that. And so you can't compare. That doesn't mean because they have a lot of lights and everything that they're having more joy. Your single deer on the lawn could mean that you are having more joy actually than because you've managed your expectations, you have done what you can, and you're enjoying your holiday within your means and what you're able to do. The other one is healthy boundaries. So you need to be able to say, with people or activities. There's some activities, for instance, if you struggle with alcoholism or addiction, you keep away from spaces that are going to be you know to lure you to go down the rabbit hole or into a mess. If
That's
there are
true.
people, yeah, there are people who have behaviors which, whenever you're with them, you end up in a mess. Just avoid them. just just avoid those, or those who, when you're with them, the narcissist, the toxic person, and you
Mhm.
feel that you have to rush to the hospital because you've got a
Your blood
migraine.
pressure has spiked
Yeah,
just because of
you
one
know.
small thing they said. Oh, you're driving dangerously, like what I've seen people doing on the road.
Oh yeah, yeah. So
Mean, you know what? You can literally feel the tension and the rage just based on the fact that there are few cars on the road, and the
yeah.
few cars that are being driven, as many of them are being driven very dangerously. Yeah. This is the time to be very careful, on the roads, and be careful. Watch from all side mirrors and every mirror you can. Yeah, because people are driving like mad people. Yeah,
I tell
it's a
you,
bad
I tell
time.
you.
Very bad time. Mm-hmm.
It was very quiet for us coming home, and but
Yeah.
like you said, it's today is Wednesday, so maybe on Friday it will be another story. So
Yeah.
I just like to leave you with these tips again from this that platform that I was looking at and I mentioned. Happy and healthy relationships. Some tips: open and honest communication, mutual
Mm-hmm.
trust and respect, independence. I think that could be fiscal or even in terms of decision making. You're able to choose what it is that you want to do. Mutual respected boundaries. For instance, the issue of the phone. You know, the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, on Monday we talked about this guy who was saying that a man who doesn't check his wife's phone is a fool. You know, definitely you can see there's something wrong with that relationship because your phone is your personal item, not that you put anything there that somebody should not read, that it is personal. Then the shared values, of course. Space for difficult conversation. I think this is a topic that can we can talk about, I think. Um, and many relationships are not able to handle that well, so rather than talk about those difficult issues, we have what you call nil by mouth. So there's no talking for
Oh,
about
yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
nil by mouth. So there's shared
Yeah.
values.
Nil by mouth is a very, what do we say? It's a very toxic way of handling
Yeah,
conflict. Yes, it
yeah.
is. Just as much,
So
it's just the other side of shouting and being unreasonable.
yeah,
Nil by
yeah,
mouth is a level of immaturity,
yeah,
immaturity that you can't handle a situation. It's a very sad thing. Yeah. Nil by mouth. It's also torturous, and it's also narcissistic. Very
yeah,
narcissistic.
yeah,
It's all about, control. It's another one
yeah,
of control. Yeah.
yeah. That's
So
true.
people who do nail by mouth, it's like, okay, whatever.
We
Bye.
know, you know what nil by mouth means. Just to explain, nil by mouth means you don't talk to one another. You're not talking. And you know that
Yes.
nil by mouth is, you find it in hospitals when there's a patient and nobody's supposed to give them any food to eat. So there's a sign on the door written nil by mouth. So sort of that phrase has been adopted by people within a like an intimate partner
Yes.
relationship,
Yeah.
or even within the family setting when you're not
Yeah.
talking to each other. It's a nil
Yeah.
by mouth.
Uh-huh.
And then the
Yeah.
other one is, apart from space for difficult conversations, the other important thing is safe emotional and physical connection. That safe emotional, and basically we're talking about a trusting relationship, one with respect, one which is honoring, and participation. And that actually is underscored or underlined by a willingness to understand one another, to listen to one another, um,
Mhm.
to listen to what? To listen to understand rather than to listen to respond. And so we are wishing you all a wonderful holiday season. We
Mhm.
expect, of course, there are going to be changes in the next year, in the coming year. And I think in another show, we'll just encourage you again on making New Year's resolutions and have that conversation with you, so that, we just
Yeah.
here really to know that you also have lots to say. So we're looking forward to your comments also.
Mhm.
Please just add them there, and we are reading them and we are commenting and engaging you in the comment section. Thank you so much, everybody. Yeah, and that's all from me for now.
Yeah, thank you, Susan. That was really helpful. And in fact, Rogers Wambua says, true, I agree with Susan. Avoid toxic people, but they tend to have something you don't have. Yeah, what do we do with that, Rogers? Avoid them until you
Yeah,
realize, oh my God, I can't totally avoid them. So I think it's
yeah,
maybe about limiting, creating those boundaries about what it is that you expose about yourself to those toxic people. Don't give them anything that they can weaponize against you. Although they will find a way to fashion a weapon against you. The fact is, toxic people just karanga themselves in their own mafuta, as we say in Swahili, which we say they fry themselves in their own fat. So toxicity is not helpful, first of all, for the toxic human, for the toxic person. And then, of course, it's not helpful to be around a toxic person. So it's up to us also to create our own boundaries and decide what it is we can and cannot tolerate. But we also understand that some of those toxic people are very close in our families. And sometimes we don't have a choice but to interact with them. So the only thing we can do is like manage ourselves. Remember that we have to self-love first. Like Susan said, love yourself enough to take yourself out of that toxic situation and give yourself time to recover before you present yourself in that space again. So all we can say is, I think, it's about managing our anxieties. I think managing ourselves first, managing us. Yes. So like somebody says, take care of number one. Take care of number one, whether it's loss of a job, loss of a partner, loss of opportunities, whatever loss that one has felt, loss of, any sort of loss is painful, but also our attitudes determine how we actually deal with that lost situation. And as long as we know that we have done our best, then we just have to give ourselves a pat on the back and say, okay, this is a situation. I cannot change it. Let's live with the situation as it is because it cannot be changed. And what you can change, we change. So I think looking into the holidays, I think the best thing is to look at it with a positive eye. And for those of you who haven't yet been able to buy a Christmas tree or to afford a Christmas tree, try and maybe make some decorations around the house or draw one. Yeah, get some paintbrush or something and draw one on a piece of paper, stick it on the wall, and that's your Christmas tree for now. Throw some sprinkles on it, and there we go. I mean, what I'm saying is really, you can also in Africa we go and cut branches of trees. I wouldn't encourage that. One of the things I wanted to say, a good tip for dealing with Christmas tree in Africa is you can actually go into places where they have seedlings, tree seedlings, yeah, tall tree seedlings. Get one, use it over Christmas, and then take it back. Take it back. That's what I do. I buy a tree seedling, and then I used to get the branches that were cut because I love big, tall cedar trees. They smell so nice. But now I learned I can just go and get the seedling, and then I buy it, and then I sell it back, and it goes and it's planted in the forest. So for the next season. So guys, there's many ways to let's look after our environment and the people who are most vulnerable, children, the elderly, and those who don't have people around them. Let's remember them. If you can't invite them to your home, go see them. Or if you can't see them, contribute, make a contribution, make a financial contribution. Even a small amount of money goes a very long way. Yeah? A long way. Okay. And don't forget your relatives and your people, because you can't be contributing to strangers and you're not helping your own people. Because charity starts at home. Yeah. Look internal first, see who you can help in your family and your close friends, and then move the circle out. I think that's the way, it should work. So, guys, thank you so much for your time on managing your anxiety during the Christmas holidays. And one of the ways, as you saw Susan and I do, is to sing. Yes. Sing all those joyous songs until you get to the point where you joyful yourself. Thank you for watching, Rogers, Lynn, Louis, and everybody else who's going to watch on the recorded version. See you on Friday and to-dos. Thank you, Susan, very much. Good night and good day. Bye-bye.
Hark the herald angels sing,
Glory
glory to
to the
the
newborn
newborn King.
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 Bye. Okay.